Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Good Idea, Bad Idea. This is where I take your controversial wrestling topics and I tell you guys if I think it's a good idea or a bad idea. These can be things, ideas you have for fantasy bookings. This could be stuff that went down in the past and you want to know if I thought it was a good idea or a bad idea. So yeah, make sure you sub to the channel, and whenever I put up a thread for Good Idea, Bad Idea, now you know what to do. So let's go ahead and start off with Shagan Shenker. Hopefully I got that name right. I probably didn't. Probably no different than when I called Thanos, because I call him Thanos, not Thanos. All right, I'm getting in trouble again. Shagan here says, the Bloodline story ends crowning Jey Uso the head of the table. And kind of similar to this, blah, blah, blah 14 says, Jey Uso beating The Rock for the WWE title at Mania 42 after getting approval from Roman to complete the real Bloodline story and become the true tribal chief. Roman and Sami win the tag title that night too. Wow. A lot of cool fantasy booking there, man. A lot of cool fantasy booking. Let me ask you guys something. The older friendos out there, or maybe the friendos out there who might not be as old as me, but are very well versed in the Attitude Era of WWE. Let me ask you guys this. The hottest guy in the Attitude Era, Stone Cold Steve Austin, okay? Would you say, at this point in time, trying to be objective about it, that Jey Uso, coming off of his first Intercontinental Championship win and subsequent loss, is he more popular now than Stone Cold was when he first won his own Intercontinental Championship back in it was 1997, I think? Because it took a little while. It took a little while for Stone Cold Steve Austin to reach those heights. Even, you know, his big King of the Ring speech. After that, you started to see it percolate, but it wasn't like he was getting big yeet chants back then. Yeet wasn't even a thing. Wasn't a word. Probably not in the dictionary. Don't know if it's in there now. Anyways, let's get to Jey Uso, because I feel like Jey Uso is only reaching, he's only kind of scratching the surface of how popular he could be. And how great would it be if the original Bloodline feud that kicked this all off, Roman versus Jey, ended with Jey becoming the true tribal chief? Look, Roman is probably going to go away at some point. I imagine he'll probably end up with a super part-time schedule. Like, I'm talking about even less than I'm talking about like a WrestleMania, like an Undertaker schedule from a couple of years ago when it was like only WrestleMania and they're going to build stories for Roman Reigns matches without Roman Reigns even. Remember that year they did that with Bray Wyatt and Undertaker? Like, Undertaker just couldn't be bothered to show up. And so they had like Undertaker props that Bray Wyatt was feuding with. And then he lost the fucking match. Anyways, that's where Roman's going to end up. Jey Uso is kind of like restarting a career. He's been in the WWE for what? I think he said 14 years. And now he's winning the Intercontinental Championship. He's the most popular guy in the company. I feel like, and I know some people probably disagree and they consider, oh, he's just a gimmick. But given where he's been and given how big of a fan I am of Jey Uso, I think it's entirely possible that this guy could absolutely main event WrestleMania. Maybe even, I don't know about against The Rock. I'm not going to bring up the final boss again because you guys killed me in the comments when I suggested the final boss could beat Cody for the title. So I'm going to lay off that one, but maybe Jey Uso versus The Rock for the Ula Fala at WrestleMania 42. Maybe that's not a terrible idea. I kind of like that idea, to be honest with you. Or maybe if they're able to continue to build Solo in a very satisfying way, like we've seen over the last couple weeks, I think that could be fun as well. The one thing that I don't think is going to happen, though, I like the idea of Roman and Sami winning the tag titles too. How cool would that be? I don't think that's going to happen. Roman's too big for the tag titles, and I feel like Sami is at this point too. I do like the idea, though, of, the idea of the Bloodline story ending. Man, I don't think this Bloodline story is, because here's the thing. If Jey is crowned the tribal chief, then that just sets up more story for him. Maybe even the corruption of Jey Uso. With ultimate power comes ultimate responsibility. That's a Spider-Man thing, not a Jey Uso thing. You know, it was fun to see Spider-Man fight in the Infinity War and Infinity Endgame fucking movie. Thanos. Anyways, yeah, I don't think that Bloodline story's ever going to end. I don't think they have any plans for it to end. That's why they have guys like Solo Sikoa, who's going to be around for a long time. You got guys like Tama Tonga Tongaloa. You got Ikaleu coming in probably, maybe even as early as Crown Jewel. Spoiler alert, there's a match that's been set up on the tape SmackDown that hasn't aired yet. That's a Bloodline match. You guys may or may not be able to guess what that match is. Maybe you've seen the spoilers yourself. I won't comment on it here, but it's entirely likely that Bad Bloodline is once again going to need a numbers advantage, and they might try to boost that up a little bit. I don't know who's going to win that particular match. I'm not going to talk about that till later. I don't know. I guess we're going to do our predictions over at Going in Raw tomorrow, so we'll probably give a spoiler alert for you guys there. In any event, yeah, I don't think that Bloodline story is ever going to end because there are younger people they can bring in to continue that story, but I love the idea of Jey Uso becoming head of the table, given where he started off in this whole story. I think it's a great idea, and again, I do think that Jey Uso is merely scratching the surface of his popularity. I think he could be huge. Good idea. All the stuff that you guys said here, good idea. So Shagan and blah blah blah, great job. Let's move on to the next one. Juan Sanchez 209. So what is he from Stockton? Says, good idea or bad idea? Given how popular and over he is, what if WWE never turns Cody heel and essentially uses him as Cena 2.0 for the next 5-ish years? So I'm going to say bad idea. And the reason is this. So I'll go with that's a bad idea from a story perspective because bad guy Cody is hilarious. Watching bad guy Cody in like pre-AEW, and then even with AEW was like flirting with being a bad guy, but he had kind of no idea what he was doing. But before AEW, Cody loved to play up the bad guy stuff. He was a ton of fun as a bad guy. He really was. And I'd love to see that side of him again. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I am not going to predict that the fans are ever going to turn on Cody, but at some point, you got to figure they might turn on Cody. Maybe not en masse. Maybe it will be a Cena thing, in which case, yeah, maybe turn him heel. And by the way, if they do that within 6 months, he will be the most over guy in the company again, and they'll be cheering him. A never-ending cycle. So, that being said, though, given how much money he makes for the company, I don't think they're going to want to force this. I don't think this is going to be a situation where, at the peak of his popularity, which Cody might not have even reached that by now, at the peak of his popularity, or a couple of years deep into this, huge babyface run where he's just making all sorts of money for the company, I don't think out of the blue they're going to turn him. I don't think that's going to happen because he makes a shit ton of money for the company, and you don't want to risk a Stone Cold Steve Austin WrestleMania 17 thing where turning him heel like all of a sudden tanked the company. They were making money hand over fist, and they turned him heel, and nobody wanted to see that shit. So I don't think they're going to do it without having their hand forced. I think they're going to monitor the reaction to Cody over the next couple of years, and if from a storyline perspective, if something makes sense for him to go heel, I think they've got a lot of good building blocks for a heel Cody Rhodes, given how manipulative the guy seemed to. Proof positive when he had Jey Uso traded over to Raw in exchange for Kevin Owens and splitting up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I mean, that right there is enough motivation, is enough evidence for those who think that Kevin Owens is not in the wrong here with this current storyline going. There's a lot of little things like that with Cody Rhodes that you can look at and be like, dude, you're kind of a politician. You're kind of a bastard, aren't you? So I don't think they'll do it unless their hand is forced. I think from a story perspective or from a story idea standpoint, whatever, good idea to at some point turn him heel. But if he's getting the Cena reaction, no, don't force that. Have him go full heel. Absolutely. I'd love to see it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Let's go back in time for this next one. Broski 158 says, the Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan father-son storyline. Good idea or bad idea? I'll be honest. Probably a great idea. Because everybody thought it was going to be Gable. But then given, Kurt Angle's past in the WWE, it made sense that it was Jason Jordan. So I liked it. I thought it helped Jason Jordan a lot. It would be really interesting to know where Jason Jordan would be today had he not been injured and forced to retire. Because the guy had everything. The character stuff wasn't there, but it was starting to get there. And I really feel like at a certain point, they really would have cracked it. Or he would have ended up kind of like Austin Theory is now, where it's like, man, the ingredients are there. They just need to pull the trigger on Austin Theory. And I think with Jason Jordan, I think Vince was trying to figure him out as a character. And I think that it was like on the verge of starting to work. And then unfortunately he was injured and had to retire. Kind of surprised they didn't try to use him as an on-air authority figure or whatever. But he seems perfectly content being a successful producer there in WWE. You still see him come out whenever there's like a pull apart brawl that's got to go down. So I like that story. I wish they could have done a lot more with that storyline, but and maybe there would have been more of an immediate reward if it was Chad Gable, because the similarities between him and Kurt Angle are really there. But the Jason Jordan thing, I think, was a good idea. I actually thought it was a pretty inspired idea, to be honest with you. Groovy Q86 says Austin Theory winning the Money in the Bank briefcase redemption story. I think it's a great idea. Guys, I'm telling you, Austin Theory could be the biggest thing in the WWE. He, honest to God, could be. If you've ever seen anything where he's out of character, the guy has the ingredients. He really does. Why they're taking so long with this Grayson Waller Austin Theory breakup, I have no idea. I think it's kind of clear that Triple H is kind of lost on what to do with them, or at the very least is too distracted by everything else to focus on them right now. This is one of those cases where the long-term booking of Triple H is really doing a disservice to Austin Theory and Grayson Waller for that matter. They're sort of holding each other back. Similar to that, Nate Fuentes says, cashing in Money in the Bank on mid-card titles. Bad idea. Good idea for the redemption of Austin Theory. This one here, cashing in Money in the Bank on mid-card titles. Terrible idea. Awful idea. Really bad idea. Not a good idea. You got to cash in on that world title. You got to wait. Back when it was Brock, okay, maybe not. Back when it was like Austin Theory trying to cash in on the tribal chief, okay, that's a tough spot to be in. That being said, man, yeah. Cashing in on mid-card titles is just stupid. You got to find a good moment. Like Damian Priest did. He waited forever and he found a good moment to cash in that Money in the Bank. But no, on a mid-card title, no. If you can't win a mid-card title straight up, then you shouldn't be trying to get a world title in the first place. You shouldn't even be. That should be a qualifier for Money in the Bank, to be honest with you. You need to have won a mid-card title already. They should institute that shit. Hey, that's not a terrible idea. Good idea, Steve. Next, Zoe851 says, the Young Bucks starting the new elite by attacking Tony Khan. Feels like that story went nowhere. And now the Mox World Order is a heel faction taken over with minimal story build. Yeah, the Young Bucks starting the new elite by attacking Tony Khan. I'll be honest with you. I thought the idea was a good idea. They just didn't do anything with it past blood and guts. Dude, I don't know, man. I'm not the biggest Young Bucks guy these days. I'm not. I want them to drop those titles to Private Party and then maybe just rebrand themselves or not. It doesn't really matter. It just doesn't, there's nothing compelling about them. I thought they had some fun stuff with that new elite stuff, but even that's fallen by the wayside. I think they're all going to turn face now because the Mox World Order is taken over. I think that's what's going to happen. They probably just want to be good guys and be cheered again. I don't know. All right, we're going to end on this one. Controversy. John O. Davies. I don't remember if I did this one last time or not. NXT review. So all sorts of controversy right now going on in the Friendoverse, man. We're not controversial guys, me and Larson. Certainly here at WrestleJuice, I like to avoid controversy. Sometimes I stumble into it, like when I pronounce correctly Thanos. But the NXT reviews, a point of contention now at Going in Raw and in the comments of the video I just did the other day, where I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit here. I'm going to watch that NXT show, the premium live event, Halloween Havoc, and I'm going to do a quick review of it. Why not? I'm a wrestling channel. And then people were like, a couple here and there. Not a big deal. A lot of good conversation going on. Made some new subs. It was cool. But then some people bringing up, good idea, bad idea. Steven Larson doing NXT reviews. People saying it's a bad idea. They say, hey, if you don't like NXT, Why are you reviewing it? You shouldn't review it. Well, you guys, I mean, because people want our thoughts. We watch it. You don't want our thoughts. Here's the problem. If we stop reviewing it, people be upset that we're not reviewing it anymore. So we dug ourselves into a hole where, like, we either review it and people criticize us for reviewing it, or we stop reviewing and they criticize us for not reviewing it anymore. So I don't know what to do, man. I don't know. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in a spot. Speaking of stuck in a spot, look at that guy down there. Been sleeping all day. My goodness gracious. What are you doing? What are you doing down there? Oh, goodness. Anyways, so yeah, that's going to do it for good idea, bad idea. Listen, I'm going to put up a thread probably in a couple days for good idea, bad idea. See, you got to sub to the channel and hit that notify bell. And then you can, participate good idea, bad idea. See you guys around.